everyone, and welcome back to the Izzy and Alex show. Today we have a very special guest with us, but before I introduce her, please make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Izzy and Alex show, and follow us on Spotify, Instagram and Facebook to get notifications for when we upload. Now, everyone is good at cooking something, but our next guest is particularly good at cooking crumble. It's Lorraine Bowen.
Hello everyone, lovely to hear from you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, it's an honour here on the South Coast to be talking to you two and your lovely podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. So we usually start the podcast with a would you rather question. So the one today would be, would you rather never eat crumble ever again or eat crumble every day for the rest of your life? Just as one meal though, one meal a day.
Oh my goodness. Do you realise how kind of bulky I am? I've got this kind of donut waistband at the moment that I just desperately need to get rid of. I don't think I'd have crumble every day. I think I'd get fed up with it.
You can have different fruits, you know, like liven it up.
Yeah, but it's still the crumble topping with the butter in and the sugar. I'm trying. Christ, you know, I'm really trying to get these calories off. I went for a walk today for about 7 hours or whatever it was, and it said you have lost 200 calories. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. On the way of the walk, I'd had a Cornish pasty, right? I'd had a couple of nuts. I'd had my favourite biscuits. That was at least 2,000 calories I put on. I lost 200 calories in a 2-hour walk. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's not good, is it?
It's hard. It's hard, everyone. It's hard.
Yeah, we've got quite a big set of questions, but the first one.
Right.
So obviously you're well known for your audition on Britain's Got Talent. We both watched it at the time when it was on telly. Tell us a little bit about that. What the process was like of auditioning.
Well, that's a huge question. I'll try and keep it short because I could speak for about 3 days on this. But I'd done 2 auditions in 2011, 2012, and didn't seem to get anywhere. And also they were quite rude and they had asked too many personal questions, ringing up. I think it was even Christmas Day they were asking me questions. I think that I'd call that the old way of Britain's Got Talent. And I'd written them a letter saying, look, please just don't get into contact with me again because it's too awful. This process is too awful. So, and then a couple of friends were on Britain's Got Talent or the X Factor or something, and they had the producer's name. They said, oh, come on, go for it. It was 2014, and I know it sounds a long time ago now, but they said, go for it. And I thought, you know, I'm actually ready to do it now. I'm ready to bare my soul. And what I thought is that, and this is an interesting thing for anyone going through any process, I had a plan A and a plan B. And my plan A was to get my song, which I'd written myself, on national TV at prime time on a Saturday night, just a chorus on what would happen. It was this fantastic gamble. What would happen if I got my song, my catchy song? And then plan B was if they dissed me, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
In any way, if I got downtrodden by being on that programme, I would move out of England, my place. I would go and live in Italy.
Ooh.
So that was my absolute, I totally had these 2 plans. And as it was, I eventually got on this show, unbelievably. Do you know, I haven't even seen the whole show. All I'd seen was a few auditions from Susan Boyle on YouTube and managed to get on this show. It's just bonkers. Didn't know what was going on really, because I didn't know what a golden buzzer was. And yeah, the rest is history, really. And I managed to stay in this country. Hooray!
And it's our pleasure to have you still here. So I'm glad it went that way. Definitely.
But tutti quanti sanno cucinare, Dio sa fare le patatine. So I had it all organised for Italy.
Oh my god.
That's absolutely incredible. I love that. And obviously, you auditioned with your Crumble song, as you gave us an amazing rendition just then. How did that come about? Like, what made you think to sing about Crumble? Like, it's so random.
I written the Crumble song years ago, probably before you were even born, actually, because I was living in some kind of squat in Hackney, and there was this mulberry tree that produced this amazing. I don't know if anyone knows about mulberry fruit, but it's quite royal and it's very special. And these huge fruits, they're like overgrown raspberries, and we had so many overcoming our garden. So I quite fancied someone at the time, and I kept making them crumbles. So I mean, really, don't tell too many people, but the Crumble song isn't really about crumble.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
Would you like some?
Oh.
Now I've gone all kind of summery now, and I'm kind of on a heat. Yes.
We'll move on.
I feel like you may have kind of already answered this in the beginning, but like, what actually made you want to audition? Did you think, because obviously you wanted this song to be on national TV, and that was your plan, and then obviously you had your plan B, but did you have a long think before you auditioned? Were you like, oh, I don't know whether this is such a huge show, should I do it, should I not?
It's really interesting. I love being asked more psychological questions about Britain's Got Talent, because it is an absolute brain ache going on it. It's, I think if you're kind of young and you don't understand about fame and you don't understand about public domain, that sounds like a lyric, doesn't it? You don't understand about fame, you don't understand about the public domain.
The next song.
The next song. It is the next song, yeah. I think it's really, it's fascinating being on reality TV, and people think it's so simple, but it could be so simple, and that you don't really think about that it's your, they're making a lot of money out of you. You don't make any money. There's no money. You're not being paid for this. It's not work. What is it? Is it a hobby? Is it, there's so many things that need to be answered about reality TV, because they are using you for their means and they are being paid, and we're not. So all this really should be much, much more talked about, and you've asked the correct question. I think at the time I'd been for some interviews and they hadn't really worked out because I wasn't really in a great frame of mind. But I think in a certain time I thought, I'm working so hard. I've worked so hard for so many shows, and I've earned about £30 for 3 months' work on a show. I just want my little song to be on TV and work for me. It's my little pension, basically, this little song. It wasn't to do with me and my ego. It's more for my song. So it's like having a baby and then taking them out into the world and saying, right, do something useful, for God's sake. So that is really the answer to your question, is that I wanted my song, which I know it's catchy because I've performed it all over the world in different languages, and people always go up to me and say, oh my God, that song is such an earworm, So I just wondered what it was going to be like on national TV and seeing what the British public would think of it. And it worked. It just streamed around the place, and it seemed that every school child would sing it in the playgrounds and everything. It was brilliant.
Definitely. I mean, I just checked before this interview, and it's got 13 million views on YouTube at the moment.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
13 million. That's amazing.
So yeah, your plan worked, and you also said earlier about you not even knowing what a golden buzzer was. So when that moment happened, like, what was going through your head? Were you just like, why is there confetti coming down on me?
That's precisely. As I said, I was the most useless person. I hadn't seen the whole programme ever. Didn't know what a golden buzzer was. But, and I hadn't really heard the buzzers going off because I was so focused on what I was doing, and I am a very, very experienced vintage performer. I perform at places like Ducky, at the Royal Vauxhall Tavern. I performed, you know, if you perform it like a gay venue, Saturday night, quarter to midnight, they turn off the disco and you're on stage. My God, that is a performance. You know, it really is a performance. You have to, you know, it's no like, there's no second that you're not totally focused on that audience and really getting them going. You can see some of the performances on my YouTube channel. You have to be brilliant. There's just no doubt about it. And I used all that experience when I went on stage at the Dominion, because it was 2,500 people in that audience. It's a lot of people, you know, and you just totally focused, totally in that moment. So buzzers were going off. I didn't really hear them because the crowd was so massive. It was massive. It was going mad all the time. And so right at the end, you know, you can't see anything because it's just totally black in front of your eyes. And then something went off, and then all these gold things were coming down. And I just thought, oh, just go mad and just dancing around in them. And then suddenly David Walliams was on stage. So I thought, oh, what do you do? Just give him a kiss kind of thing, you know. So, and then afterwards they said, oh, you've won the golden buzzer. That means you're through to the semi-final. And I said, oh, that's amazing. You know, that is amazing. I didn't really know what it all meant anyway. So I said, oh, that's amazing. How many more people are like me, you know, with David Williams? So is there another one for the next episode? And they went, no, it's in the whole of that series. There's only one golden buzzer. And then I just fell on the floor. I couldn't believe it. So that's, I hope that answers your question of the incredulity of the situation.
So obviously on the show there's such a huge team of people. Do you still speak to any of them now, or?
I think that's an interesting question about there's a huge team of people. Do you know, I never got to know how many actual people were working on that show.
Yeah.
They seem to be buried in different segments of the show. I would love to know how many people were on that show, and I would love to know how that show works, because I got a few researchers drunk, right? Because I always know that Lorraine Bowen can always get to the bottom of anything. And you know, I didn't get to the bottom of BGT. I couldn't work out how it was organised. I couldn't work out how it was. It was like some James Bond Queen Bee kind of thing, where there must have been producers in lots of different rooms. I got researchers coming back saying, oh yeah, great interview then. I was thinking, hang on a minute, how did you find out about that? I just did the interview. How can you have done that? There must have been some central Queen Bee station where they were all there, and I met different producers. I'm just saying this because it is an incredible feat of how it works. I don't know how it works, but yeah, was that the question? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, that's perfect. So because obviously David Williams buzzed you. How involved was he with your act then going forward? Was he involved at all? Sort of.
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, they're paid a very good wage to be on the show, to be a judge. In my day, when I did it, that was it. You know, I didn't really hear from him again, except after the semi-finals. I did a swimathon. I did a swimathon for Mind Out, which is a LGBTQ kind of mental health thing, and he sponsored me for £1,000, which I thought was amazing. Wow. And he did send me quite a few Christmas cards and sent me a photo. I sent him a crumble, and later I found out that David Williams hates crumbles. His mum told me he hates crumbles so much that when he was at school, that he had a crumble for his lunch, and he kept it in the side of his mouth until he got home that night. That's how much he hated crumbles. So anyway, he gave the crumble that I made to his son, and he sent me a picture, which was lovely, of his son eating my crumble, which was really nice, wasn't it? That's really lovely.
That's lovely.
What's your favourite crumble filling?
Ooh, it's only one cherry. I love cherry crumble with a lovely clotted cream on the side.
Mm.
And also, so we've been looking at your YouTube recently. So for all those that don't know, Lorraine Bowen is on YouTube, and your recent series is live from Crumble Towers. So how did that come about? Did you just decide to do it?
Yeah, well, I've just done, the past year has been a bit of a thing. For people listening in 2022, well, this 2021 and 2020 was full of this weird thing called a pandemic. And very much in March 2020, I decided that the nation was going to have to be lifted of its spirits, because the thought of staying in all the time was such a weird idea. And there was this chap called Joe, is it Joe Wicks or something, like Joe something? He was doing exercise classes. And I thought, I don't think I'd be able to do those exercise classes. They're going to be too difficult. So I thought, just something for a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. One of my songs a day would be good. So I did 42 episodes of
Wow.
11s with Lorraine. 42 of those went to April. And then after that, I decided to do tea time treats in October on the second lockdown. And on the third lockdown, I've done live from Crumble Towers. And that's because I moved from Brighton to somewhere else along the coast, which is really unfashionable.
We won't
cheaper. Yeah. And now I'm doing live from Crumble Towers. So then I don't know how long I'll do that, and then I've got to think of something else. So if you can think of something new, then put it my way.
Maybe something to do with your Casio organ. That's like becoming a celebrity of its own.
Yeah.
Well, I have got an album called Lorraine Bowen's Vital Organs. So
I like that. I like that one.
I like that. We also did notice that you're on TikTok as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, TikTok. Well, someone suggested that I start a TikTok account, and I didn't know really what it was. So I did a few little videos and left it for a while, and then someone's niece or nephew, who's 16, said, "Come on, Lorraine, you're perfect for TikTok, so get that going." And I looked into it, and I thought, yeah, it's quite a fun idea, being 59 seconds, doing something for 59 seconds. And some of my 59-second videos have been really successful. And to date, I've got just under 40,000 followers. I haven't paid for any of them. They've just come. But I think it's a much younger audience. I really enjoy social media, and I really enjoy the differences in all the platforms. Like Facebook's kind of for old moany people, and Instagram's for people who can't be bothered to say anything. They just want pictures. And then what else? TikTok's for kind of creative teenagers, I suppose. And then what else is there? Twitter, I don't understand Twitter really. I never only get about four likes for Twitter. It's for people who are quite clever, I think, and know how to use social media. But yes, it's really interesting, social media. I think you're probably very much more aware of all the different genres and how they work for you and how they work against you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so we've obviously talked a lot about Britain's Got Talent, but before that, going back, what made you want to get involved in the entertainment industry in general?
Well, I was always in bands. I love music. I've always loved music and wanted to go to university to study more. I mean, that's the great thing about university. It gives you, a chance to study something that you absolutely adore. You're doing journalism because you obviously love journalism. There's no other word, other way of doing it. So you did English because you love English. I just loved music all the time, so I just wanted to study. I came from a small village, and to go to university was amazing. It just opens your eyes, opens your ears. You learn about things that you've never learned about in normal life, maybe for 50 years. You learn all about it in 3 years. And then I was in bands in Hackney. I moved to Hackney in London, and it was a great time. played bass in a band. I couldn't really play bass. I'd only done grade 3 double bass, but started playing in a band and got to know lots of people, and boys would come up to me and go, "Oh, you're really good." I wasn't, but I used to wear a suit and be quite androgynous, and it was really heady days of indie bands and things. And then doing bands. I was involved with Billy Bragg, who's a political singer-songwriter. That was brilliant. He taught me how to be a pop star, and we used to kick footballs around in hotel corridors and then play to 2,000 people in the Liverpool Opera House. That was the most incredible thing. So, you know, Britain's Got Talent was just another thing, I suppose. Another thing on the whole rostrum of weird things in my life. But yeah, you can hear all that. You can see it all on Wikipedia, all the stuff that I've done.
So on Crumble Towers, you perform a lot of songs. It's not just the Crumble song. So what would you say your favourite song is that you've ever performed or written?
Oh, that's ridiculous, because I've written 6 albums at the moment. Greatest Hits Volume 1, Greatest Hits Volume 2. I've done, oh God, what have I done? Vital Organs, Bossy Nova, Suburban Exotica. I've actually, in the last 9 months, I've been writing another album, but I can't tell you anything about it at the moment.
Exclusive.
It's top secret. Oh, yeah, if only I could tell you about it. But I got approached by someone to write. It's a musical, actually. It's a musical in last March, so that will be out hopefully before the end of the year. And that's a lot of fun. Something very different. It's a real challenge. So I work so hard on that, and that it's very, very different, because it's not just me singing, it's me writing for characters. So that's a really interesting idea, writing for characters. So every week I try and sing another song in Crumble Towers, or just to keep the streaming going, just keep everything going, really. I think it's quite a nice. Is it a good thing to do? I don't know. I just do it.
No, it's good. Yeah.
It's only a couple of minutes, isn't it? It's only a couple of minutes. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. And then if people want to see other things, I found I'm very shy at performing the lesser known songs. But when I actually do perform the lesser known songs, I get a lot more feedback from people. The great thing about doing anything on the internet regularly is that you never know who's listening, and that people listen from all over the world. It's not like doing a gig, you know, the Royal Vauxhall Tavern, when everyone's from locality or from London. You're talking to people that are in, you know, Chicago and Los Angeles and Australia and Sri Lanka. It's amazing. I've got all these sweet little fans, but they're all dotted all around the world. It's you know, I still think it's brilliant to put out something on the internet once a week.
No, definitely. And we love your videos. My personal favourite is the burger song, which you uploaded that a couple of weeks ago, I believe. I just thought, I love that you sometimes have like a political message, but it's all like zhuzhed up and made into such a nice way.
That's really nice.
Yeah, no, it really sticks in your head, and it's like you're just singing along and wait, actually, no, this is a really good political message. And I think, that's it's a really positive thing.
Oh, that's great. They don't come quickly, these songs. They take ages. and I'm now because I've been writing this musical for a long time, then I think I'm ready to do another song, but it's going to be quite serious, and it's about the fact that we are all nature. And I think it's got to be an environmental song, because it's just the only thing that's important at the moment. If anyone thinks anything else is important, they're wrong. I think, you know, looking at the reports, it looks as if humans and the planet have only got about 50 years left, and then we're all absolutely buggered. So I think the big thing on my mind at the moment is that humans think they are human, and that nature is this other thing. You go out to walk in nature, they say, and you know, and I think they're totally wrong. and that we are all nature, and I've got to put this into a song. And so it's very political, but it's got to be fun and it's got to be tuneful. So if you had to do that in your mind, what would you come up with? That's my question.
Maybe just like use like bits of like nature. That'd be really cool. Like something like that.
Yeah, but then by saying that, you see, you're separating humans from nature, because you're saying use something from nature. Well, we are nature. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say, is that we're nature.
You're far too clever for me, Lorraine. You're far too clever.
Well, the thing is, you've got to go through all these processes to do the song, the lyrics.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Is that where your kind of main inspiration for your songs comes from? Is things that you're mainly passionate about, and things like that?
I think any art, I mean, I call it art, because it is art at the end of the day. Whatever you do in life, and I'll say this to everyone, is that you can't fake it. You can't fake, and if you do, I think it's really obvious that you are. That's why it's just so important to do what you're absolutely passionate about. You've got to have that conviction, and you've got to have you've got to have that focus of mind to go through with a project, to make it and make it all authentic. I think that's the word, authentic. Everything's got to be authentic that you do. You cannot just make up the fact, oh yes, I love this and I love that. And you've got to be very authentic about something that you do. And that's the only reason I do what I do, because I'm just very, very passionate about everything that I've written about. So even if it's the actress that I fell in love with at 13 called Julie Christie, I wrote about her, and everything that I've written about, I have very, very strict rules with what I write about and what I perform about. When I perform, I have to be very, very, very convicted about something. When I write a song, it doesn't normally have he's and she's in. It's quite androgynous. It can be very mixed up, but it's got to be something that totally, I will never go back on what I think. It's there.
That's really, you obviously, it shows in your songs how passionate you are about the subject, and I think that's such a you can tell that it's authentic, I guess is what I'm trying to say, which is such a positive thing.
That's good. Well, they don't come quickly, as I said. They took ages, and normally it's because also when you're writing a song, these days, in the 21st century, you have to be not only a songwriter, a lyricist, a musician, sing it, you also have to record it as well. And I normally do the pre-production on myself on my Logic computer, and then I get engineers or producers to help me with the beats and things like that. So it's production and all that is another thing altogether. It's quite hard creating a good track, And I met an old lady who's 82. I don't know what state of mind she's in at the moment, but I met her, and she was an amazing composer from the 1960s. Her name's Barbara Moore, and I've started a website on her. I did some amazing interviews with her, and it was incredible learning how she did her art, because she never did anything for art's sake. She was only paid to do what she did, and she wrote TV adverts. She wrote the arrangement for the Sign of the Swinging Cymbal, which was da ba 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 dum, like that. And she did loads of arrangements, and she wrote albums she had to write them in 9 days. And she told me that she wrote the album all by hand, and then on the 9th day there was a motorbike came round to her house and would take away all the manuscripts and take them away to a copyist who would copy them out and put them in the correct key for the musicians to play in the orchestra. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's only 50 years ago. It's an incredible thing. So I'm just mentioning that because I think it's important for people to realise how much amazing technological thing has happened over the last even 20, 30 years, so that people can create their own music. Normally, you were in the realms of given things to other people to produce. You can do it all yourself now. It's quite a thing, really.
Yeah, no, it's remarkable, like how far technology has sort of allowed us to go.
But also in the other field is that, you know, can we as a single individual human being create the music, the lyrics, sing it, produce it, record it? You know, it's just so many fields there.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've actually had a fan of yours contact the podcast. Her name's Nicole, and she asked, so I don't know if you know, but Britain's Got Talent have got this new show called Britain's Got Talent The Champions. So obviously from what you've said about the whole reality TV, would you ever go back and sort of go into that light again to do Britain's Got Talent The Champions?
I don't know what The Champions is. I got asked to do the Britain's Got Talent Christmas show this year, and they thought of this fantastic idea of me coming down the backstage with David Walliams, arriving on stage, and this whole kind of school of kids were singing the Crumble song, and all in Christmas gear and everything. It just sounded fantastic, and I said, yes, of course I'll do that. And then the pandemic hit strongly, and we couldn't do it. But
hopefully they'll do it this year. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. Maybe it was such a great idea. I would love to do that. And I think it's all good fun as long as they can pay a little bit. I mean, they really are absolute Scrooges because they must make so much money from the advertising. I think really people should look into, you know, how much does it cost for an advert on Britain's Got Talent night, and how much does each advert cost, and how much do they get, and how much the judges paid, and guess what? How much have the people paid? Nothing. You know, it's just. I think this really has to be one of the top questions of 2021, 2022, because now everything's reality TV, from master design to master chef to master this and master that. And I think, you know, we really, really should be thinking, are we just pawns for them?
I think,
I'm going to say it and not say anything else.
Yeah, we don't want to get Lorraine Bowen cancelled on our podcast, which I'm sure you won't be. I'm sure many people will agree with that.
So our last question actually is, you gave a little hint earlier that you've been writing a musical, but have you got any other future projects coming up?
That's a very interesting question. What tends to happen in my case is that I need a bit of time to blank out after doing a big project or to write an album. And I think it's very important for everyone in this day and age to be bored. I know it's a weird thing to say, but sometimes it's very, very, very important for a time of blank nothingness. And then from that blank nothingness comes a seed, and that you start thinking about it, and nothing, you know, what can I say? It's you just keep thinking about it and thinking about it. In the end, you have to do something about it, and that's. I think for me, the environmental thing has to be the next album or EP or something. And the great thing is you don't have to do an album, do you? Of 10 songs. It's such a massive project to do an album. It's really, really a long time, and most of my albums have taken 5 years. I'm quite frankly, well, by the next 5 years I might be blinking dead, you know. I don't know, but the fact is, just a couple of songs about the environment I think would be really good, and I'd quite like to keep it simple, just a guitar or something and a voice. So if anyone's out there who can play the bossa nova guitar, get in touch with me, please.
We'll put a campaign out, Lorraine, don't worry. So that's amazing. So we've finished all our questions now. Thank you so much, Lorraine.
Literally,
it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast.
Well, thank you so much. I hope I haven't waffled on to too much, but I'd like to finish by just saying to everyone who's listening, you know, things don't come to you. You have to make things happen in life, and things are whizzing past you all the time. You just have to grasp onto them. You know, sometimes people feel as if they're so hard done by because other people are luckier than them. They're not luckier. They just grasped onto an opportunity that came their way and went for it in the nicest possible way. And I, I'd love to be an inspirer or a mentor for people because, it's been blinking hard work. Life is really hard work. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true, but I don't think anything comes easy. I think you really have to work at it, or not even if you don't have to work at it too hard. You have to work at finding the opportunities and finding the ways of getting what you'd like to do. It's very easy to sit there watching TV all the time, isn't it? But so I'd say, get out there and grasp what you can, and in the nicest possible way, and spread the love.
What a way to finish the show, honestly.
100%.
What an inspirational message. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Well, it's lovely meeting you, and it's nice getting on the airwaves.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you too.
No worries. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.